Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Tiffany Gerard, and I'm a Senior Client Success Manager here at In-Telecom. I'm really excited to welcome to you today for this session and introduce a solution that we believe can truly change the way organizations understand customer conversations and uncover hidden opportunities inside of your everyday interactions. Before we dig in and start presenting, I'd like to do a couple of introductions to the team joining us today. Terry, if you'd like to introduce yourself first.
Absolutely. My name is Terry Cederholm. I am the Senior Account Executive for In-Telecom. I am also the Priority RV Rep.
Wonderful. Robert, next up.
Hey, everybody. Robert Gallup. I'm Chief Product Officer at Tressic, and looking forward to going through what we're talking about today.
And my name's
Awesome.
Ben Bergeron, Vice President at In-Telecom. Also, really excited to dig in today, especially speaking my side of the house is revenue, right? So for anybody who's trying to drive revenue within their organization, it's been pretty exciting to watch this product come to life, as I really think it's going to be a game changer for the people that use it.
Thanks, team, for the intros, and I completely agree with you. This is a game changer, so I am so excited for everyone to join us today and learn more about it. At In-Telecom, one of our greatest advantages, I feel, is the relationships that we build with our clients. We do meet with them regularly. We're really close to their operations and teams on a daily basis, so we do hear firsthand a lot of feedback where our clients are feeling pressure and where teams are asking for better visibility. This platform is certainly going to bring those things to the forefront and be able to plan how you can have actionable items associated with that data. We recently attended PRVN in Las Vegas as a team. We did note a few current recurring themes there. Robert, if you wanted to just hit on those really quickly, I know that we are going to dive super deep into them later on in the presentation.
Absolutely. And so we heard a handful of things from both the front side of the house with sales as well as the back side. Certainly a lot of opportunities there as we look at how we're managing sales opportunities, taking advantage of things that customers and prospects are talking to us about. But we heard also a lot about, on the service department side of things, a lack of visibility. And typically we'll see sales has all the cool tools because that's where everybody likes to tool up the revenue side of the house. But often the service department is lacking in that area. So we heard a lot around a lack of visibility and a need to understand more of what's going on in the service department. So lots of interesting discussion there around that piece.
Yeah, and even just to piggyback off of that, Robert, we were doing some sales enablement internally this morning, and we were just talking about access to data, right? And I don't think there's ever been this shortage of data, but it's been about getting that data into a single pane of glass that allows you to make decisions, and really about enabling your leadership team across the organization, right? So I think data tells a story. It always tells you the when and it tells you the where, right? It's always been up to the leader to identify the why, right? But when you bring all this data together in a centralized way and create actionable insights, it's getting to that why a lot faster, right? So it's giving your team the data that they need to actually take action and drive change within the organization, but also for the clients that you serve. So
yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about, Tiffany, you want to talk about the In-Telecom platform and the communications piece and what we're doing here with the combination of both the telecom and the communications piece, as well as the intelligence that we're layering on top of that.
Absolutely, absolutely. So what we want to talk about here is the data that already exists in your phone system today, right? You have In-Telecom's phone system already in place. Your call recordings are on, and that data does exist. How are we supposed to access that data, right? If you think about having an employee or anyone on your staff to be able to sit down and listen to every single phone call, analyze all of those phone calls, and then be able to create reporting on the back end with that data. It seems like a big upkeep, certainly a really big pickup for anyone, and is realistically impossible to do. That's when intelligence comes in. We lay this platform on top of your existing data to be able to pull those metrics on a monthly, weekly basis on a single pane of glass.
And what's really cool here, and why we've built this platform and brought the two things together, is there is so much information on your day-to-day calls that if you're not sitting there listening to, and nobody has time, nobody has
Right.
the ability to listen to every one of those calls. There's so much insight and customer intelligence that you're missing by not being able to track that on a day-to-day basis. So we're really excited about bringing these two pieces together, where we actually have the call data. We're deploying intelligence on top of that. And Ben, like you said, when we bring those two things together, we get to the why and we get that visibility. But as we'll show you here in a little bit, there's conversations that are being had in the service department that if the sales team knew about those, there's so much
Exactly.
more that they can do with those customers, and there's so much more that they can bring to the table when they have that next conversation. So excited to show how these two things come together here over the rest of this, and dig into some examples of how that works.
It's kind of funny that you mentioned that, Robert. So like we got our update for this week on us internally, and Sean and I were talking earlier this morning, and we had a deal that we lost last week, right? And typically in the CRM, we're notating the reasons why, right? Why do we do this, right? And it's kind of a little open to interpretation. It's a little surface level. You're digging in a little bit, right? But when we got our update on our analytics from last week, that deal was in there, right? And it told a different story. So it gave me some data and some direction on some different questions I needed to ask. And like the reason we lost it was actually different than the conversation I had with the rep, right? So I'm just thinking about like how useful that knowledge was to me today to be able to go paint the right picture and then go course correct and have the right conversations with that individual.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fun to see those things come together and see the impact that, if you didn't have the full picture, now that you do have the full picture, like you said, it completely changes the conversation.
Yeah, so Robert, I'll take this. So just talking a little bit about like the dealer blind spots, right? And we always talk about sales, how sales has dashboards. We never really talk about service or the parts and F&I. I know when we were at Priority, a lot of the complaints that we heard, and you can piggyback off of this, Robert, was in service, right? So we want to kind of give you a different product that helps dig into your service and also parts. Again, sales has the CRM dashboards, and service you're dealing with CSI surveys, and parts is more of a transactional. And that's where a lot of the customer experience and the profit and loss take place. And Robert, maybe you have some suggestions on the service side or
Yeah. Yeah, and it really doesn't matter if it's RV dealerships or any type of business. Typically on the service side, you're looking at getting feedback through those customer surveys, one-off types of things. But when we're talking about conversations that are happening all day, every day across the phone, we don't actually need those surveys anymore. We get all of the insight that we have out of this, and we've seen that huge impact time and time again, that when we know what's happening on every conversation and we can raise the relevant risks, things that need to be addressed, but also the opportunities that we're missing on a day-to-day basis, it has an impact not just on the level of service that we provide our customers, but it has an impact on the rest of the business. So We'll dig into some of these things, but a lot of the tools that the service team and the parts team use today and rely on today start to become obsolete as we get into leveraging the rich content that we're getting from the actual conversations that we're having
And
with
that
customers.
and that's a lot of what we heard was that they were missing the calls, and it was definitely causing profit and loss. Definitely, yeah, also customer satisfaction, right? Yeah, knowing how the customers feel.
Yep.
You do mention a good point though. Like I just think about anytime I've been part of an organization, operationally driven, and like you're always trying to grow, trying to be better, trying to listen to your clients, but you always had to solicit that feedback, right? And then a lot of times, like people aren't completing those CSAT surveys, right? So then you're waiting till that next time your account rep or client success manager is meeting with the client, and then you're getting that feedback, and then it's kind of like a fire, right? Fire drill, where it's
Yeah.
like, let's go take action, take action, take action, right? And by then it's almost a little too late, right? So like, how do we get some of those things um, to the right people to take action before they're like causing major problems for that client experience? And I think that's some of the key insights that I've been able to see is that, especially for your frontline service personnel, right, giving them the feedback that they need in a way where they can develop and grow and be better quicker.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think this slide really gets to it. And again, it doesn't matter if it's RV dealerships or a service business or home services or what have you. We hear consistently time and time again that we've got all of these conversations. We might try to QA and listen to a few of them. But the reality is that 98, 99% of those conversations, they go into recording and they just sit there in a bucket. So what are we missing on those conversations? What are we not bringing back to our customers? This is the consistent problem that we hear across from everybody is we're just not taking advantage of the data that already exists in those conversations.
So it's fair to say that on average, they're only getting about 2% of the calls listened to.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, go ahead, Robert.
Yeah. So again, these calls are getting recorded today. They're there for the taking, and this is where we're bringing the platforms together so that we can take advantage of those recorded calls, take advantage of the conversations that you're having today, and bring those pieces out and help service teams, help sales teams see what's going on behind the scenes and get smarter and get better in terms of closing deals, in terms of servicing their customers. And I think the timing here is right, Ben and Terry, when we think about the peak season coming up for RV dealerships in perspective, or in particular, we're right at the front end of that key season for these dealers, right?
Definitely the key season. You know, if you talk to an RV dealer, just like you talk to us, right? Like every moment is peak season, right? So this is very important on their side. And I know a big question that I was getting, well, what's the implementation look like? And you know, if you tell us by May 12th, we can have this input by early June, and like you said, right as peak season hits.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's kind of like the beauty of it is like the barrier to entry and that friction is really minimalized, right? You think about, especially when you're trying to do something that feels as customized as this does, right? That onboarding and implementation, you would expect it to be um, pretty time consuming, but the reality is everything's already there, right? Like we're just turning it on and we're teaching it a couple different things and tailoring it a little more specifically to what um, that client needs, but all the data is there. We're just turning it on. So
Yeah. So let's dig into what we're talking about. I know we've had a lot of slides and talks so far, but let's get into the meat of this. And there's a few pieces to this platform. We're going to walk through the insights here that you're going to be able to see both from the service perspective as well as the sales perspective to really bring everything together as an RV dealership. But know once you see this, the next question that we always get asked is, okay, how do I turn this into follow-ups, and how do I enable the rest of my business to do stuff with this data? And then, oh, by the way, like Ben, you mentioned the churn, the missed customer or lost customer opportunity for you guys. The next question is, okay, well, how do I get alerted about that, as that's happening, so I can do something about that today versus waiting till tomorrow or waiting for a month from now when that comes up in a revenue report. These are natural next steps once we get beyond these insights that you guys will be able to take and really operationalize this information within your business and drive faster, better outcomes for you and your customers. And again, this is all deployed on top of your existing phone system. So there's nothing that we need to train your team members on. There's nothing that we need to deploy. It's literally as easy as coming to your In-Telecom rep and saying, hey, I'd like this service. We get it turned on, and we're up and running quickly for you guys. So let's take a look at the service department side of things. And this is where you guys are making a large part of your money. And it's what we heard in Las Vegas. It also happens to be the area where you have the least visibility into what's going on in your business. Out of those conversations, we're able to take specifically what types of calls your team is getting on a day-to-day basis and highlight and enable you to drill into those calls. But also identify which of your reps and which types of calls are driving higher customer satisfaction, better outcomes versus lower satisfaction. Maybe there's a training issue, maybe there's a process issue. You're able to drill into those specific things and see the detail so that you can bring that back and maybe train your associate or switch something up in terms of how you're supporting your customers. So these dashboards give you complete visibility and the ability to drill into each of those pieces and get the data you need to drive the important decisions within your business. So quick poll, and I'm not sure, Ben, maybe you're the poll watcher, but quick poll for everybody that's on the call here. How do you know what your service provider or service advisors did last week with your customers, what they're talking about, what type of service they delivered, and how your customers felt about that? Are you doing that through CSI surveys? Are you doing that through call recordings that, being honest, we don't listen to all of those calls, or do you not know at all? See if we get any comments. Any brave souls to tell us what
in the chat,
All right. Well, while we're waiting to see if we have any brave souls to raise their hands on that, there's another area, and this comes from sales. It comes from the service side of the house as well. Do we know what's coming up and what's happening with our competitors on a regular basis? Promotions, better pricing, better service, other things that you don't have to wait on with that competitor. What types of things are you getting from your customer conversations that go into those recordings today and just kind of slip through the cracks? And if you were able to see those things, how would that change how you're promoting your particular dealership and the service that you deliver? How does that change how you price and make things available to your customers? Through the intelligence platform, you've got the ability to track the key competitors and the key things that are important to you on a day-to-day basis and get rich insights into that. And we'll show you here in a second with some dashboards on what that looks like. And then you'll see who's mentioned, how often they're mentioned, and where that comes up in the conversation, right? Does it come up in a sales conversation? Does it come up in a service conversation related to a particular part or a particular thing that you need? So we've got demo here, but Tiffany, let's dig into the next piece, and then we'll pop up the actual dashboards here once we go through these next couple of slides, so we can dig in and show you guys all of the rich detail you can get into.
Wonderful. For sure, I think one of the number one subjects that RV dealers were bringing up at our last conventions were, what are people saying about price? Sales teams, of course, are hearing about price. They're having those conversations with clients on price, but where else is price being brought up? Is it being brought up in service to say, will you match this price to fix XYZ? Or I saw this make and model at a competitor for a specific price. Discounts and promotions that may be coming up in phone calls. This really comes up with the ongoing theme of you don't know what you don't know, right? And a lot of times, different departments maybe don't have their sales ears on. Service isn't listening for a hot lead in a conversation. And this platform really opens that up across your entire business to know where to strike, where to pick the phone back up and say, hi, we know that you had mentioned this specific price or this specific product that our competitors are promoting or marketing, and have additional conversations there.
And I'll hop in here. There's no shortage of things that we know could improve on a sales call and even on a service call, right? And it's often understanding in what situations those things come up in, which reps may need training on a specific thing, right? We've seen time and time again, certain reps and certain advisors excel in certain areas, and often they don't do great in other areas. And it's not because they aren't trying. It may be because they haven't been trained or they haven't been exposed to that enough. So we're able to highlight those specific areas as we understand what those conversations look like. So let's hop into the dashboards here real quick that you guys will have access to.
The good stuff.
So yeah. So this is the fun stuff. So we've split. We take literally every conversation that's happening within your dealership, and we make those visible for the individuals that are making decisions in your business. So as a general manager, I've got a view of the things that matter to me, but also your sales manager and your service director and your F&I manager will also have access to the information that matters to them. And we're not just focused on the areas or the conversations in their department, right? If I'm a sales manager and my service department is hearing things about competitors, I should be able to view that super easily. So we'll show you here what you have access to. But as a general manager, I can get in and start to see the conversation types and what's driving volume across my dealership. So I can see pricing and sales inquiries, service scheduling, warranty concerns, and then I can actually drill down into those particular pieces, right? So over the course of the last week, maybe I've had several calls and I want to dig in. I see that a customer actually had a difficult call with one of our advisors. So we're able to actually drill into that particular call and see this information without going through a giant sea of call recordings. And let's be honest again, probably not hearing about this until we realized that this customer walked out the door and didn't come back, right? So what's really awesome here is we can pinpoint the things that matter to us. So going into low quality conversations, potential churn, risk flags with our customers and within our departments. And then we can drill into the data that matters here as a GM. Likewise, our sales managers can now drill in and start to see, what are the top competitors that are coming up? Maybe one of our local competitors is running an incentive or a deal this month or this quarter. And now we can start to see that come up in the conversations, and we don't know about that unless we're looking at the conversations themselves. So then we can drill in, see what's actually being discussed here, and start to make some decisions and make some proactive changes, maybe in some of the incentives and offers that we have out there, or maybe in how we're talking about certain things that we do as a business. Yeah. And then likewise on the service side, where we know that there's a lot of opportunity, we can now start to drill in and see trends over time. You know, how are the conversations going? Are we seeing spikes in repeat callers around specific things? What's driving the actual calls that are coming into our service center? And are there things here that we can either improve training on within our team or start to automate? Right? If we have a lot of questions around warranties and things like that, maybe we put some automation up front and we start to enable our customers to call in and get things themselves without having to wait for a service advisor. Likewise, on the service advisor side, are there specific things that Mike's doing well that Ray, if Ray was trained up on some of the things and saw what Mike was doing, maybe Ray could be operating at that same level. And again, drilling into the things that matter, right? I don't necessarily need to care about the positive calls, but I do need to know on a day-to-day basis and be able to drill into the calls that could result in an escalation or a complaint or a bad review or a customer that walks out the door. I've got the ability to drill into those specific things and quickly see what the issue is and follow up with that customer or follow up with that advisor. So there are no shortage of metrics here that we can dig into, but all of these dashboards have really been tailored to help each of the decision makers within your dealership operate at a better level on a day-to-day basis, quickly drill into the content that matters to them, and be able to identify those top 5 to 10 things every day that as they come in the door, they need to be paying attention to and being able to focus on right out of the gate every day. All right, so let's talk about how to get started. And again, want to reiterate, all of this data is available directly off of your phone systems today. We don't have to get you set up with a large integration project, a ton of spend up front to get you going. We can literally get you in the door, show you where you're at today, and then get you going so that you've got this data on a regular basis as your team needs it. Couple of other things to do, your system configuration. We're not going to mess with anything that's going on today. We literally layer on top of that. And know that your customer data is protected. This entire platform has been built from the ground up with privacy and security in mind. So things like credit card numbers, banking information, and things like that are completely redacted out of the platform. We know how sensitive this data is for you and your customers, and we've certified and built this platform from the ground up to honor that and make sure that your customer data and your data is protected. So what we like to start out with is giving you a baseline of what the last 30 days looked like. And maybe Ben, you can touch on, you know, as we've done this for other customers and done this with In-Telecom, the impact that report has. But it's you know, we can actually look back at everything that's happened over the last 30 days and give you an immediate view of where the hot points are in your business, what's working, what's not working, opportunities that you're missing. But yeah, Ben, maybe you can give some insight into the impact that has.
Yeah, I think what's been most eye-opening to me, right, is number one, it requires you to be a little bit vulnerable, right? Because like none of us naturally want to admit that like some of the things like we're failing at, right? But and we think we're doing a good job. We think our team's doing a good job, and like we are, right? But it doesn't necessarily mean there's not room for improvement. So I think there's been a lot of knee-jerk reactions when we've done this for other clients. But there's also been a lot of excitement, right? Because you start to realize some of the things that you've been missing as a leadership team. I mean, I even think for myself or for other executive leaders, is like we're constantly digging into these things. We'll go home and then we're like, okay, let me go look at what happened today, and it becomes about time management, and it becomes about my ability or our ability to be more effective with the time that we have. And I've seen that directly correlate to like that assessment that we're doing, and we're doing that initial findings report for people, and they're like, "Oh, like I might have thought this was going on, but like now I know it really is going on." And you're always looking for ways to grow, and like it just gives you so much action to say like, "Okay, I can see where this has a place. I can see how my team can use it, right?" And it's an immediate value add. Right? So, and I really think it's like that barrier to entry that like I was kind of mentioning about, and like our ability to identify the why some things are happening. And like you can see it when we got into the demo, and that like quick visibility to a bit like way to drill into something and say like, oh, okay, this exactly happened. Now let me go get with the right person and let's coach and train. And I think about those like recurring issues that are happening as well. Is like that's always something we've been trying to problem solve as a team, right? It's like how do we quickly identify recurring issues so we can address root cause, and make sure those things aren't happening continuously. So I think being able to identify that so quickly has really been a game changer for our clients and for us.
Yeah, I love that. And there's always a surprise that comes out of this.
Yeah.
Right. Right. So can almost guarantee that as we do this report for the RV dealers, we will identify several actionable things that you can take out of this report and improve in the business. But we're also going to identify a few surprises. It doesn't matter who we work with. There's always something lurking in there that you didn't even know was happening that the data teases out. So it's always fun to be able to bring those out. And this initial report will provide a ton of value for you guys as you're heading into your peak season.
I think that one that like really surprised me the most is like it's up there, right? But on the F&I side, but like I didn't really understand what that was going to look like in terms of what we were seeing that was happening on the finance side of the house. And like that really opened my eyes to some things about other friction points that are existing within the business that we need to address.
Yeah. Yeah. So we want to get out there. We want to engage with you guys. And we're offering this report for the first cohort, so we can get into busy season, and you guys can be prepared with what are the few changes that I can make now that are going to make my busy season so much more effective and so much more profitable and enjoyable here this year. So maybe let me hop. Terry, why don't you talk about what we're offering and how we want to get started with people.
Yeah, so we are offering the 30-day thing that Robert was talking about for the first 5 dealers. It's going to be free. After that, it's going to be $19.95 per rooftop. It's going to be the same assessment, same report. And again, one of the big things about this is you don't have to have our phone system. It can be on any phone system that you currently have. And there's really not that much of an integration, right? The only commitment we ask is there's no long-term contract, one report. It's going to be 30-day analysis, 30-minute debrief. That's what we'll get together with you. It'll be me and Robert, and we'll go over that. And then you decide what happens next, right? If you want to continue it, we can get you pricing on that, depending on how many rooftops you got. But again, that's up to you completely. And again, going back to the saying yes by May 12th, we can have your first report in mid-June. Once you do say yes to us, we immediately start onboarding. Just say May 13th or between June 12th, that 30-day analysis window on your actual call volume starts. And then mid-June, we'll deliver that report to you and do a debrief on it with you guys. And again, it's right as peak selling season hits. So this is actually like the right time to get into it. And then anybody that is interested in this report, I know there's a few dealers on here right now that currently want the report, maybe two, so we might have 3 spots left. But you can contact me. My email is below. Again, a lot of dealers in priority have my cell phone. You're more than welcome to call me at any time. And then after the May 12th, the next assessment would start in August. That is past part of the peak season. I think it's right. It's going to be right in the middle of it. But again, there's only 5 complimentary spots that we're offering right now.
Yeah, and as I remember, Terry, we had two people or 2 dealership groups at Priority RV that were chomping at the bit at this. So we say 5. I think it's probably 3 right now that are
Yeah,
available.
it's 3, and I got Larry texting me while we're on this call. So
Nice. So let's take some questions.
Questions, answers. Do we have any questions internally? I've been watching the chat. We haven't had any questions come through yet. We can give them a couple of minutes.
Tiffany, one of the questions that we got asked a lot at the event was, can I just focus on my service business, or can I just focus on 1 or 2 of the locations without wrapping or winding up all of my locations and worrying about all of that? And the answer there is yes. In fact, there's a couple of dealership groups that I know that they already have a bunch of tools for the sales side of the house, but they have absolutely nothing for service. So we're able to look at only the calls that are coming to the service team, right?
Robert, I know one of the questions that we got, I believe he's on the webinar right now, is the price difference. Like, can we separate service and sales as that? Can they just pay for service, or is this an all in one together?
Yeah, so and that's a really good question. So the way this is done is how many calls are we actually running through the platform and analyzing. So after we do the initial assessment and report readouts for you, your monthly investment in this is really tied to that call volume. So if we're only handling the service calls, you're only paying for the service calls, right? You're not paying for every single call that's happening in your dealership.
Yeah, I know that was a big question.
But I'll also say that we're providing enough value that we think once you see on the service side of the house what you're able to get out of this, you're quickly going to want to wrap in your sales team, and even if you're just providing them access with the information that they're getting out of service, you're probably going to want to bring all those conversations into the platform at some point.
Can't unsee what you've seen.
That's right.
Robert, can you talk a little bit about long-term commitment if a client was to proceed with the one-time reporting and then continue to get that reporting months following that? What do those long-term commitments look like here, if there is one at all?
Yeah, good question. So there's no commitment with this initial report. This is us getting you in and showing the power of the platform, and giving you some actionable things to help your business going forward. Once you get in, this is an easy turn on deal for you guys. Whereas this fits in with the existing In-Telecom platform. So you keep that relationship going, and in terms of commitments, really, the deal that you have in place with the In-Telecom team today is what you get with this platform as well. All right. So I think doesn't look like we're getting any more questions in. So we'll just leave you guys with this. We all know that our teams are having conversations on a day-to-day basis. We know that they're probably getting recorded and stored somewhere, but we're not looking at that on a regular basis, right? And without actual access to that information, everything is just hearsay and guessing. But once we access all of that data, we get the insights out of it. Now we're dealing with true intelligence and true impact to our business. So we're excited to work with you guys. Excited to get our first cohort in with the intelligence finding report here as we go into June. And we're really excited to see the impact that this has on your business. So I guess we'll leave it at that. Any parting words, Ben or Tiffany?
I'm good on mine, and I appreciate the time today, Robert. Right, excited to get moving.
Yep.
Yes,
Yeah, thank you, Robert.
so much,
Appreciate it.
Robert. Thank you, Terry, and thanks everyone for joining us today. And if you have any follow-up questions or would like that initial reporting, you guys know where to find us.
Bye, everyone.
Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye.